What up? What up? Welcome to URF Tone Tuesday. This is me, Ela P, aka the Persian poet. Represent one half of that URF because lyrically I'm supposed to represent NIC. Talk to him.
It's the world famous NIC. Y'all already know it sounds good when you spell it, even better when the crowds yell it. You know, we here, man.
We in here, man. Feeling the energy. We're not quite a full week into the video having gone live. We're like 6.5 days, or however you might calculate that. The love is good. The love is good. The update, as it stands right now, is that we have not seen this level of engagement on video yet, meaning the number of comments, meaning the number of likes, people just taking a second on YouTube. It's very common practice. I feel like it's a common practice, when you go over to Instagram or other social media platforms to double tap the heart. Whereas to YouTube, I get the sense that people have more of a tendency to just view and be on their way. It's like the new, it's the present day version of like watching music videos on, BT and MTV and all that back, 20 years ago. You didn't do anything but react to yourself. You were in your living room. The TV was on the other side. The people on the other side of that screen wouldn't hear you one way or the other. But we are in an evolved way. I feel like, and I see you've done a really great job of doing this, and I maybe been slacking because I don't know, biting my tongue for whatever reason. But I feel like it's been, it's important to continue to voice clearly that we need that engagement. And it's not the thirst that we have for like hearing your opinions. Truth be told, we know that anybody who's checking for us that's good news. You know what I mean? Like you already, Peace Move, what up? So if you're already tuning in to, if you know the video exists and you're going to check it out and all this stuff, Yellow, what up?
What up, Jinx? That's Jinx.
There he is, Mr. Pridemore. So if you're taking some time, taking 2-3 minutes or whatever to go check the video out, we know you're rocking with us and we appreciate it. I needed to understand for myself, so it doesn't seem like I'm just asking for something to get an ego stroke. This has nothing to do with ego stroke. We need the people who are in our corner, like you, who's tuned in right now, the people who are in our corner to be on the front lines of engagement, because that's what works on the internet. We need people to take a second. If you got nothing else, 3 fire emojis will do. The word nice with the exclamation point, or you could save the exclamation point. That'll do. All of it. All you got to do is just put some in the comments and let people know that we are a safe space, because you know what I mean? Like nobody wants to be the first. So obviously we're looking at a couple of day ones, real ones, Paul and Jinx, who've been rocking with us and never hold back on kind of leading by example. And we're grateful for that. But if you are tuning in live right now, or you're going to check this out, in the future, the recorded version of it, so understand we would greatly appreciate if you take a minute, just do something very simple in the comments. Or if you feel compelled, you could write a whole essay. We don't, either way, it's like we appreciate it. And the ones, obviously, listen, we appreciate it either way. But the ones who are really like thoughtful, obviously, we could feel that. We can feel the people who are like, yo, how you broke it down on this part, lyrically was crazy. Or what you guys did with this video was crazy. Like, believe me, we are taking notice of all of these things, and we are taking heed to all of these things, and we're really grateful. But if you're like, yo, I'm rocking with URF Tone, I don't know what to say, don't let that stop you. You know what I mean? Don't let that stop you. Just go ahead and say something, because that's going to trigger the next person who might have similar interests as you within this web space, right? They have similar interests as you, but they're not already known about URF Tone. So since you commented, now it's going to spill over onto their radar, and you're going to say, how did I get this? Just like when you're going on Instagram and you're like, this is a similar interest type of deal. I don't follow them. There's a follow button next to them, and they posted something that you know appeals to your interest. It's the same idea. So we need people who are already in the camp to represent in the comments. Just hit that like button. I know it's kind of like, for me, it's not even customary. If my homie got something on YouTube, I'm gonna check it out. Say, yo, I drove your views up. You know what I mean? Like, nah, hit the like, hit the comments, and we are, you know, the highest level of grateful as all this is concerned if you hit that subscribe button as well and you share it. So that's kind of my rant. That's kind of my position on all this stuff. And I see, did I miss anything?
No, I think you hit it. I think that you know, as you was talking, it's just kind of like I was thinking, like, it's interesting, like the support that we've gotten from and engagements we've gotten on this video is a little bit different than previous videos, and that's always a good thing. It just made me think about like art and how, you know, we've never really solicited any outside, you know, opinions about our visuals and how we were going to create those, and, you know, it's all been inside, you know, huddles and whatnot. And it's like it's interesting to see how people respond to different, because this video to me was different than kind of like our previous videos. So it's just interesting to see how people have responded and reacted to this one. But it made me think of like how art, it's not like we're anti, it's not like we're anti people giving us their opinions, because I think as artists, you always want to kind of meet your followers, fans, I don't even know what to call them anymore, but you want to meet them at a place where it feels organic. You want to be giving them what they want, but you also want to be giving them what you have to offer as well. You want to be serving them, but you also want to keep it all authentic and organic to who you are. And I'm saying all of that to say that, you know, we don't want to, I like the comments where people are like, they get it. They're like, oh man, y'all bringing that golden era kind of hip hop, old school, classic hip hop feel, but you're making it contemporary, and present day. And when I hear those kind of comments, I'm like, oh, that person gets it, man. We're not just some cats out here trying to do Curtis Blow and just, you know what I mean? You know, just, yeah, you know, they kind of get it. Like we're not anti new school. We're not anti new visuals. We're not anti, you know, we want to be in the now, but we want that feeling, that classic and nostalgic feeling as well. And so I'm saying all of that to say, when you leave comments or when you leave your opinion, we also like to know what you like artistically. We want to know what you like, what you listen to, what you into. You know?
Facts. Yeah. And actually, I'm gonna even run with that baton, and I'm gonna say, listen, if you feel like, not that I don't want to, you know, sound crazy and say, yo, you know, talk your shit in the comments too. But if you feel inclined to, you know, offer some constructive criticism, some notes like that, those comments help move the needle too. You know what I mean? So like, don't hold back. You know, we're big boys, like our feelings aren't going to be hurt. You know what I mean? So we stand on what we do. Before we get to the place of sharing it, you know, for everybody else to partake in, to experience, you know, both sonically and visually and all that. We make this decision. We got to come to terms with this thing ourselves in our huddle and look at each other and be like, yo, I'm good. I'm good with whatever comes back. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with whatever comes back, because we know we left no stone unturned on this. We exhausted the options. We tried different sounds. We delivered the performance high, low, in the middle, everything. This is where we netted out. This is the best we could do right here. So now, lay it on us. So if you got something to say that is critical and you're like, I'm going to spare him or whatever, I'll hit him on the text, let us know. We would rather let that opinion linger in the public, and not everybody's going to agree the same way. You know what I mean? So some people are going to say, Now I like when you guys go, you know, this way better. I don't feel it. I like the new sound, and you guys sound a little old new. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's okay. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it. We won't perceive that kind of like thoughtful commentary as trolling. You know, like it just is what it is. But we do want to hear back from you, to NIC's point. Like, punch in, let us know. You know what I mean? Like we want to know what's going on, and it's a fun conversation for us. I mean, that's what we do on URF Tone Tuesday. We sit there, we assess what's going on, and I don't think we ever intend to troll or smear somebody's name or any of that. Like, you know, and if we get carried away, like, it's not intentional. You know, if somebody want to joke on a public figure, like I think we try to avoid that. And if it happened where we got a little bit loose, it's never intentional. But we've made this choice to sort of be in that public light as well, and so we can take whatever comes with it. You know,
I'll throw out the disclaimer though for me, which is, you know, we don't like everything. So yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? If I don't like it, it's not that I'm hating, you know, just
yeah. And I think that's the place that we speak from too. You know what I mean? And we say, yo, artist X did such and such, or the news about this artist is out. I don't even be like, yo, dude's a bum, like he's, you know, like off with his head. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You know, we go like, yo, I like, you know, what they did on the other one, on the first go around. It appeals to my taste. I think we try to be thoughtful, but we do want to have the conversation, because the hip hop conversation is timeless. This is a classic piece of rapport. This is what we did, you know, on the bus on the way to games, on the bus on the way to school, in the school, you know, in the quad of the school or whatever. Like, this is what makes the energy circulate, you know, in hip hop. You know what I mean? So it's fun.
And I would say a sidebar to that is, you know, like a comment like, this sucks. Yeah, that's not constructive criticism. Like, I don't even mind you saying it sucks. I just want to know why you think it sucks, because you could say this sucks because ... And I could be like, oh, okay, well, I get why you think it sucks. If you're like, yo, it sucks because I like, you know, Lil Durk, you know, and that's the sound I like or whatever, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I see where you could. That's a different perspective. You're a different type listener. So I mean, but I don't like when people put out just these blanket comments without anything to follow it up. So I mean, I love constructive criticism because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
You know, you could say our mastering needs to be better, our mixing needs to be better. We could have
changed the snare up or something. You know what I mean?
Our sample, you know, the sample could have been like, you could say a million things, but just give me a reason why. And
hold on. I'm punching in. Our royalty-free cleared for use sample, to be clear, just in case anyone's watching. As some people may have observed, because we got hit by some, you know, trusted people in our corner. I don't know why, and we don't know why, but Energy is not currently available on Spotify. This is not the first time we've run into some funk with Spotify. We use sample-driven sound, but we use cleared for use music. And I think some of that gets a little bit dicey, and maybe our support is doing its thing. Maybe we're drawing enough traffic to where we are on the radar enough to where it's like rattling a cage, or I don't know what's going on, but we getting, you know, we just getting some static.
It's on IG too.
On IG, I don't know that IG. I don't know that IG has made the choice to not host our song. I think our distributor is messing up in that regard, but I'm not entirely sure. We've run into it directly from Spotify before, so hopefully that's why I wanted to just punch it real quick. You said our sample is back, not our, you know, not our illegally used uncleared sample, because we don't do that. We gotta, you know, we play within the line. So if you're listening out there, Spotify guides, like, let your boys through, please, because we, you know, we were trying to make, we were in the middle of making some waves, and y'all took it away from us. So hopefully we get that resolved.
Yeah. I think that speaks to the point too that a lot of these platforms make it increasingly harder for independent artists that aren't using the corporate machine. Even if you are independent, a lot of these independent artists have some type of major label backing, and they, even though they're saying they're quote unquote independent, they are using their distribution or using some type of major distribution. And if you don't kind of buy into that a lot of these platforms, I think, are making it harder for the truly independent artists. That's my personal opinion, but I can be a conspiracy theorist as well too, so I'm guilty of that. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's legitimacy. I think it's more than just like kind of this kooky conspiracy theory, because if there wasn't some sort of gate and protections on keeping the rich, the haves continuing to have and all that, the access to the center point would be too easy. So I do think there are always, whether it's Spotify, whether it's the economy or whatever, I think there's always these challenges and added hurdles that are put in place to make it difficult if you're working your way from the outside in, to that center.
Yeah, I think
we're gonna have to figure out, what our way is to to clear hurdles as they come our way, and we try to do that on a regular, but we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, that's
cool. Yeah, thank you, Dora, for asking. We trying to work that out. We're having we're having a little bit of difficulty with our distributor these days. So if as soon as we know, you will know. It'll be all over our stories, posted.
It's on IG now. You can hear real. Yeah, that's what's up. Crazy. It's crazy, man, because it's like the industry. It's like every once in a while somebody figure out the Rubik's Cube or the Matrix. And it's like the whole industry is like, oh, we're not letting that happen again. They got over it. Like, so it's like you get a Master P, you know what I mean, who figure out to pimp his way to like 80%, 90% of the pie, and they like, oh no, we ain't letting that happen again. And then you get like a Russ, who's like, who figured out a way. Okay, now with everything going digital, this is I'm gonna pimp the game like this. They're like, oh, we ain't letting that happen again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I hope Spotify's now being some cheapskates on like the $6 they owe us for our hundreds of thousands of streams. You know what I'm saying? Could you shell out our big, you know what I mean? Like,
cut the check, man.
Starbucks coffee for $6, please. Sheesh. They sure
exactly.
do. They sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're working on it though behind the scenes, and now is not a time for lamenting. Now is a time for good fun conversation. Real quick, while we on energy, I do want to shout out the Real DJ Spin Show tonight at 10 Eastern on Big Shot Radio. They picked us up. They put us in their rotation, so we want to give them their due shout out. Give them big salutes. Like, if we're aware of this kind of support, we just want to acknowledge it and give our sincere gratitude. Sometimes if we get picked up and we're unaware, we're not overlooking, to give thanks, certainly not on purpose. If we know what's going on and you say, yo, we're going to put you in the rotation, understand you have, our sincere thanks. So thank you to the Real DJ Spins show, everybody involved in that production, and Big Shot Radio, of course, who's been holding us down.
Yeah, and again, to that point, like, I don't think a lot of people realize or recognize how something that they perceive as small can turn around and become such a big deal. And it's legitimately a big deal for us, because like my guy David hit me and he's like, yo, man, I used your song, not Energy, but he used another Earth Tone song in a reel that he had put up. And then he shot me back the analytics, you know, on the text message, like, yo, it got 6,000 views. Like, it got 6,000, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's incredible. You know, I was, you know, I sent it to you like, yo, that's, you know, those comments, those shares, you just sharing it with one extra person, you might be like, that's, you know, this ain't gonna do nothing, you know, but it really does. That ball gets to moving and it starts to pick up steam, and it does, you know, it reaps tremendous on the back end, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, even if you don't think it's a big deal, it's a big deal to us, you know.
Feel you, yeah, Dora. I mean, yeah, we trying to you know, we posted it in the stories like a week or so back. We trying to body these algorithms, but it does take, again, that frontline support. People not necessarily being shy, say they're down with us, because we know you are down with us, and again, we appreciate it. And if it's your nature to be shy, of course we're gonna respect that. But if you're like, yo, they know I'm down with them, I don't need to post or something. That's the mindset. We just want to retool that mindset, you know, and just understand, like, you know, this push and everything that Earth Tone stands for, which is what we understand you to, like, you know, kind of subscribe to. I don't mean literally on the subscribe button. I mean like the ideals that you associate with when you say, yo, they kind of laid back. They're not going in for some kind of like cheap tricks in order to get ahead. The music sounds a way that I like. If that's something that you believe in, you know, you in a bus with us, you know what I mean? So we need you to make some noise in this bus. This is, you know what I mean? Like, we're not, that's just how it's going to go forward. So please let it be known, continue to share, let your people know. And we see it when it happens. And we're grateful for it. So yeah, energy and all.
Yeah.
And I got a little funny story. And then it made me think about music. So let me tell you about my quick tale from, you know, when I went to the store. I went to pick up groceries. And I was at the Trader Joe's, right? And they always got, like, I don't know if, you know, how often you go to Trader Joe's, but they always got some like fun personalities, at least in the store near me. I've been to some stores that always got some grumpy people, just do the job, get you out. Trader Joe's always got some lively, fun characters, you know. So this was no exception. Young man is helping, you know, get me checked out, and I had a Laker shirt on, right? And like, he comes in guns blazing on my Laker shirt, and he's like, yo, Steph wins one more, he's better than Magic all time. And I'm like, man, I had, now you know me. All right. So I said, so he said that, I had like a gazillion thoughts go through my head, like, I'm gonna kill this kid right now. How am I gonna get him? You know, and I was like, all right. So I size him up. I'm like, what are you, about 25? He's like, I'm 26. I said, you never seen Magic play. How can you make that claim? He said, I know, I seen Steph play. I said, I seen both. You can't tell me Steph's better than Magic. I have the jurisdiction. I seen both of them play.
Right. In real time.
In real time.
Right.
So, and all right. So then I just started to think about that, and I let a friend know, and that yeah, for real. For real.
Especially at Trader Joe's, like they all on the funny,
you know,
over there, you know.
It's an earthy environment, you know what I mean? So he said like that, I was like, you know, you sound nuts. But anyway, then we started talking hoop. He let me know he played over here down the way in Westchester High, great program. I let him know about my basketball community ties through Big Brother Coach AP. And we got along. Oh, he also let me know that he's like a Celtics fan. So he like a fish out of water. He grew up in LA and he's a Celtics fan. So of course, now he's got the bias against Magic Johnson, you know, as I admittedly do for Magic Johnson. And I threw that out to friends. I let them know. And my friend was like, yeah, but you're biased for Magic, towards Magic. I was like, well, let me think about this. I was like, okay. So I got my sort of criteria as to who I determine is better. Without Magic being in conversation, Steph is great. I say he's a top 15 player all time, you know. But then I started to kind of take a step away from this, and I started to think about you, the DJ, not you, Nicholas Demps, the person who wears his favorite albums of all time are right behind his head. We know kind of where your tastes lie by looking just at the images behind you. So I was thinking like, all right, you know, everything is contextual. Whose impact is bigger? Like who's but it's all relative. I was just trying to think of like, all right, am I being a little crazy like with Magic over Steph? You know, obviously Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody's gonna see him in that conversation. Magic rebounds better, assists better. None of them play D that well, but they did what they needed to do. They're both great leaders. Magic's got more rings. Magic's got more MVP trophies in a shorter amount of time. I got my own criteria. I stand on my position now. As it relates to, and also if you say like whose impact is bigger, like Steph's global reach to China and other international markets is going to be bigger just because that is the nature of how this thing has exploded. Very similar to hip hop, right? So now I'm thinking about the world famous NIC, the DJ, who has to have kind of an unbiased appreciation for whatever's just music, you know what I mean? And how music is contextualized. If you got a wedding of, you know, a certain demographic, you're going to deliver a certain set, you know, and you adjust, right? For some reason, you know, not for some reason, for good reason, Michael Jordan is kind of untouched in this conversation. But I also feel like the explosion of media in the 90s affects, it was like just the right amount. Like somebody who's everywhere and at the same time you never see him, because it wasn't the internet. It was the channels were expanding from 13 channels on your TV to 50 to 60 to 80 or whatever, right? So Michael Jordan's explosion happened to coincide with the time in media that only feeds the legacy. And I'm not saying this to downplay the man's ability. I hope that's clear and understood. Absolute monster, delivered every time that it mattered, and so on and so forth. But I was thinking about present day megastars versus 80s megastars. Mind you, when I talk about impact, Magic Johnson, the NBA was on the verge of bankruptcy. Magic had the benefit in his legacy to come into the league with Larry Bird, Lakers, Celtics. You couldn't have written the script better. Polar opposites whose games mirrored one another. They had a lot of things going on that played perfectly to the best interests of the NBA thriving. You know what I mean? And making the runway nice and clear for MJ to take off. But the 80s were a different time in hip hop, just like they were for the NBA, right? So I want you to think of like legacy. Rappers are going to rap better now than they rapped in the 80s, you know, and I'm going to even let this bleed into the early 90s, but I want to hear your take. I'm going to give you a few different this or that's, and I would love to hear your take as the DJ on, I don't want to say who's better. I guess, and I'm trying to be thoughtful of the word that describes it, but I hope everything I said kind of tells it, but whose impact is bigger?
To me, or when I play this artist,
I want you to try to be as objective as possible. Objective. This is my Magic Johnson, Steph Curry. You know, this is like the aftermath, the lingering effect of this little quick dialogue I had. You know, light and fun with the homie at the Trader Joe's. Yeah.
All right, so I'm not speaking as, you know what I always say, music is attached to a memory.
Yes.
So you do bring that pretext to it. But I'm not speaking, I'm just speaking as a DJ, as like, if I play this song out,
yes,
what do I think is going to get a better reaction?
Yeah, it's not necessarily that. I'm going based on.
I just want to make sure I understand the question correctly.
No, this is fair. This is fair.
Yeah.
This is based on legacy.
Okay.
So, for
Okay.
example, a rapper in the 80s, their like aim was to dominate the boroughs,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a completely different conversation for an artist now who, you know, if you take the odds, they're not even from New York. You know what I mean? The number of artists that are out. I'm talking about popular, at least star level, if not superstar level artists. They're not even from New. They're not. Of course, they want that market, but they got a bunch of different ways to the mountaintop now. But so, what you're operating in, the space you're operating in, is different. So your legacy, like what your aims were different. Magic Johnson, to continue to draw this parallel, even though he had a shortened career because he contracted HIV, he still had what was considered at that time a full like 13-year career up to that point. What, 12 years, something like that. That was considered a full career. Nutrition wasn't as, you know, methodical. Exercise and the workouts and training was not as methodical. So shelf lives were shorter. And then the NBA was always quick to rush you out to usher in that next level or that next wave of superstars, right? Same idea. We're just operating different. So for me to say Magic is better or whatever, you know, Magic has a more, you know, of his legacy is better than Curry. It's like it has all of these considerations in mind. Hip hop wasn't winning Grammys, so you can't say, well, you know, such and such. Like they weren't a category, so you just have to consider the infrastructure that artists were playing within. You know what I mean?
That's what I was leaning towards, and I believe me, I want you to ask your questions, but I was saying like I think back in the 80s, and you can group the 90s in there, that early golden era. Like I think most MCs were trying to gain the respect of the culture of hip hop, the hip hop community. They were rapping to gain respect, and it didn't necessarily always result in record sales. So, for example, you get like a Mobb Deep, you get like a Nas on its first, you know, and now it's critically acclaimed, but like Nas, before Nas did If I Rule the World, you know, it's been largely publicized that his label was almost about to cut him because he didn't generate. I think he had like 350,000 units sold, or like it was close to gold, but they were expecting a platinum artist.
Yeah.
Now, all the rappers, every rapper, every producer, everybody in the culture of hip hop was like, "Yo, Nas is that's that guy," but he didn't have, and I think that rappers' motives back then was to impress their peers, to impress their their community. What now? And I think now the difference is like newer rappers, even if you're like, oh, you're whack, they're like, yo, but I mean, I'm selling. I got a TikTok challenge that people is doing. I got a such and such, like my popularity. It's like they're trying to impress for popularity's sake. And the popularity is their validation.
They make no, you know, mystery. They don't mince words. It's the bag now.
It's the bag.
And even to your point, the narrative, because while Nas was doing Nas, which you're absolutely right, I get the sense as an audience person as it relates to Nas, like he was going for the respect of hip hop and his community, and for people that lived in the QB projects with them, and then the boroughs beyond that, right? Around the same time, MC Hammer was like doing what MC Hammer was doing, and he was, I'm getting this bag, and he was very selfless with it, as we all know. But he's like, I'm gonna get to this money. He got his money, and he got absolutely dragged for it by the same people that Nas was, you know, seeking the respect from, which he obviously got. But now even that narrative on Hammer has evolved, and people have come to understand, like, yo, we live in capitalism, so while your bars may be crazy, like, yo, you gotta eat, you try to get this money, your shelf life is quick, get your money, your 15 minutes are up, invest, like all these conversations are so different. So this has everything, and the same kind of thing could be said as it relates to this Magic Curry, point guard debate. You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly where I was leaning towards. Where Paul, if you're still here, you could chime in on this. But I see a lot of like back in that day, let's even say up to the Jordan Bad Boy, all we can even go into again the early '90s, even the late '90s. A lot of basketball players were playing so that their peers, the generation before them, would see them at All-Star Weekend and be like, yo, that guy knows the game. He knows the game. He knows how to play. And now, you'll see YouTube, clips or Ballers Life clips where somebody, crosses somebody up and everybody's like, oh, and that's going to get 1 million views, but they missed the shot. Yeah. But the highlight is, look at how this dude crossed this cat up, or look at how this, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's kind of now where the AAU baller, some of these younger ballers is like, I just want to get this trick off. I just want to get this. I want to get this highlight off. You know what I mean? It's like they don't know the game. They don't know an L cut. They don't know how to, you know what I mean? Like backdoor screen. They don't know how to cut. They don't know, you know what I mean? They don't know any of that, but they know they practice to me, I call it a trick, right? That they can get off. But they don't even know how to, make the layup with the right hand. They on the left-hand side making a right-hand layup after they do their little trick and all of this stuff. So I think that, that to equate it to basketball, that's how it is now. Like the newer rapper is concerned with the bag and views and popularity. Right. They're not as concerned about impressing the culture or their peers. Well, maybe their peers, because their peers are the same age as them, but they're not as concerned with impressing the generation that came before them, the legacy of the art form.
That's right.
I think that again, the new ballers today are concerned with getting off, they move, getting that popularity, that seeing a move that they did go viral, and they're not concerned with understanding the nuances of the game and how that's going to impress older cats, like, oh, this guy really knows how to play ball. Like I could rock with him because I know he knows how to play ball.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, and ultimately, you have to look at it through a view of when your time is up and everyone is X amount of years removed. Like it's tough. It's tough. Going back to the basketball thing, it's tough when you say like, yo, Bill Russell got 11. Like that footage doesn't really even exist. You know what I mean? And you obviously know he was playing against like such a lesser degree of players that it's like, so obviously mad respect because it's all relative and he was doing it, within that space. But I just mean like there's something different to be said about when things started to become, broadcasted on the TV with more frequency and all that, right? So we talk about people. It's like I'm trying to think of an example of like some people's legends are just gonna grow, and that to me is going to speak more to like that any kind of prisoner of the moment narrative on somebody, right? Like there was a second there where like I'm not trying to knock anybody because these people are all Hall of Famers. So I'm speaking to people who are like all at a level, right? But there was a minute where T-Mac was like doing this with Kobe, right? Their careers have finished, in retrospect, and I think this was safe to say in spite of, because we obviously do have a different view on somebody, especially when they go tragically and early the way that Kobe did. But I think this would have been true in spite of, when you look at it and you look back and you say, who was, who had the more lasting impact, like who was better in that regard, it's not a conversation. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of what I mean. Right now, like John Morant is the talk of the town right now. But let me also say this. I've seen this before with Derrick Rose, and I've seen it before, you know what I mean? And Derrick Rose had injuries, and I've seen it before with Westbrook. These like guys whose athletic supremacy allowed them to play in ways that it's just a spectacle. It's like somebody is like a dang firework playing on a court with human beings. Like it just looks crazy, right? So, but at the same time, it's like you're not gonna put John Moran in conversations. He has a lot of work to do, you know, and there has to be some consistency and so on and so forth. Obviously, Steph being 34 years old, the number of championships, MVPs, like he belongs in this conversation. So I respect that, you know.
Shout out Smooth D real quick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now I want to all this. I want to say this or that guy.
Okay, this or that.
This or that guy. I only got a few, just a little handful. But you know what their impacts mean. You know what their legacies mean to hip hop. So, and it's going to be a guy who's like actively still going top of the game right now versus a guy who was on top of the game before hip hop super exploded in the 90s. Right? All right.
And this is going to be tough because the only reason why I say this is because I will tend to, I'm going to just take it as face value.
Hold on. Do you hear all this music in the background?
Nah, I don't hear nothing.
All right, good. My wife was going crazy for a second.
I will take it at like, if somebody's career isn't over, then you don't know what else they could contribute to the culture.
Facts.
So I'll just talk. Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's like this cat at Trader Joe's saying like, oh, Steph Curry, one more ring. Well, I don't know if it's one more ring. But I would be honest enough and transparent to say that Steph Curry has enough of his career left that he could do something significant enough in that time where we could be looking back at Steph Curry and be like, yo, he became a greater player than Magic Johnson. Yeah. That's out there to be taken. So I'm just going to, whatever you give me, I'm just going to take at face value, not what they could contribute, just in a box right now, legacy.
Yes. And I think everybody who's tuned in, including myself, give full respect to the fact that this is all subject to change. This is for the hell of it on July 19th, 2022. So, you know, other
it's
things
subjective.
It can all move and shift.
Yeah. It's subjective because I'm answering the question. So, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. LL Drake. I know we do this in verses a little bit, but right now I'm talking about something different. Verses is something different. The performance is something different.
Legacy to the culture, what they mean. I'm always gonna go with LL.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree but I'm trying to make it objective, not because I'm going with LL, but I am trying to look at this. I'm looking at it like this. I just wonder, like, you know, at some point, like Drake's on a crazy run. His accolades are out of this world. You know, what he achieves in terms of his numbers and his successes, it's like he's on a hell of a run right now. Is that a question?
Is that a question? Yeah, it's a question. What would you say?
Hey, this is a legit question. Listen.
I want to hear it in the comments. Like, yeah, what?
It's real. It's real. If you're to say who are the three best artists of the present day, it's his name and the next two that I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? But it's just a reality. He represents right now.
That was a good one to pair up too, because Drake's got the pretty boy image.
Yeah,
LL was a pretty boy at his time,
and they could rap, both of them really well. You know what I mean? So the rap is tight.
They both got songs for ladies. They both got hardcore street anthems. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lean towards LL.
And I think the difference, I really do think the difference maker is that essentially like L is really that guy, right? So they both did, again, relative to where you are at, what relative to the hip hop that you were thriving in. Because right now hip hop is just bigger and Drake's on top of bigger hip hop. But LL was top dog in hip hop as it was once upon a time. And the difference is, I really just think it really boils down to like L is really that dude, and there's not room for like doubt. There's not like a lot of holes in it. You know what I mean? That's just my feeling on it.
Yeah, I would piggyback off that and say like what LL contributed, his contributions went, as far as music is concerned, went to the culture. What he did outside of music grew the culture. So like when he does In the House and he does CSI and he does all these things, it's like, oh man, that's growing his legacy, but it's also contributing back to, oh man, like hip hop can step outside of these boundaries and still represent on in a whole different lane.
Right.
I feel like when Drake steps outside of the culture of hip hop now, and he starts to do those singing songs and those world musics and the Ibiza tracks and all of that stuff, I don't think a lot that circles back to the hip hop culture. And they're like, oh wow, like I think it's just like, oh, he's in a different lane now. He's singing. Oh, he's got a pop song. And if anything, it contributes to that culture. Like right now, the EDM culture is saying, oh man, Drake did something for us. I don't think the hip hop culture is sitting there being like, wow, Drake expanded hip hop into EDM. I don't think we're saying that. We're saying like, oh, Drake has deliberately stepped outside of the hip hop culture and is going to do something else. We respect, some people respect it, some people hate it, but they're like, all right, cool. He ain't doing that for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I even told you when I heard the new album, I'm like, oh man, he's trying to get a different type of bag. And I think he will.
Dora's making me laugh over here in the comments.
You know, I think he will. But I think that those communities and those cultures and those music lovers are saying to themselves, oh, he did something for us. They're claiming Drake now. As opposed to the hip hop community saying like, oh, we claiming Drake because he's doing EDM music now. Like we're not saying that. We're like, oh, okay, Drake decided to do something else. But like with LL, everything that he did still funneled back to the hip hop community. Like, oh man, LL's acting now. That's dope for hip hop. Oh, LL is doing a Gap commercial. Yo, that's dope for hip hop.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like he always had a way of keeping it 100% funneling back to, hey, this is where we can take hip hop.
Right.
You know, I don't think Drake is standing on that soapbox.
No, and I view it as talent, and I agree with everything you're saying. At the same time, I view it as talent. So when Drake shows off some versatile skill to be able to like slide, to this genre, I agree with you. It doesn't feel like, yo, he expanded, hip hop. At the same time, I do marvel at it. I'm like, yo, we made this, this world record, and it's crazy. And when it come on, and I got a few drinks in me and stuff, like it feels amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but hopefully that didn't sound like Drake hate, because I'm not.
No. But I wanted to clarify.
Talented. Yeah. I think he's amazingly talented. I just think that what he's doing when he steps out, and maybe that's a commentary to now how big hip hop is, where it's like we don't need the validation anymore. We kind of just stand on our own, and we don't really need anybody to go out and say this is where hip hop can go, because we know it can go anywhere. But it's just when LL was doing that, it was really groundbreaking. It was really like, oh wow, like he's not getting called a sellout. He's not getting called. All he's doing is repping for the culture on a different platform. So yeah. I saw LL. Final answer.
That was level one. All right, level two. J. Cole. You saw that coming because of Drake, right? Rakim.
Wow.
Should have done this like Drink Champs, like line you up with a shot. You kidding?
A shot of ginger beer.
That's true.
For me, what Rakim did is, if music is attached to a memory, like his first 2 or 3 albums was like, life changing for me. It was my adolescence. It was, all of that stuff. So I have vivid memories. In what capacity are you saying, like J. Cole, like?
Well, similar to like how you said, okay, I can see the line that kind of ties Drake and Uncle L together. Like, similarly, I think we're looking at 2 artists with obviously like refined pens, right? And then also they are thinking on a certain level of conscientiousness. I'm not saying their styles are the same. Obviously, like it's evolved a lot. So it's hard to like look at it like that. If we were having this conversation in 1993, I'd say Nas, Rakim or whatever, but we're not. It's 2022. And like J. Cole is sort of like, I think often viewed, and for understandable reason, as the one who's kind of like picked up and run with the Nas torch. Nas grabbed that torch from Rakim. So I just figured there's a lineage here in play. I think this one is closer.
I do.
I think agree. This one is closer than the last one because of the reasons we mentioned for the last one. And in this case, I do feel a sense of like something solid, really solid in Cole. I'm just talking about like, I guess how he's perceived, how the brand resonates. And he is the kind of artist like Rakim. His bass, I don't know the word. I know I could punch in on the big call outs. I don't know, his words. I know Rakim, as far as the big hits go, like I could do the words maybe for a few of those better or whatever. But for Cole's bass, they hang on to his every word. They say it all with them. He's emceeing the hell out of those shows. And even when his time is up, like Rakim, like, hey, the game's not in your hands no more, his thing is going to sell out just fine.
Okay, so, yeah, I'll answer it like this then. What Rakim did for hip-hop lyricism, J. Cole has done for hip-hop character. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that Rakim was a wordsmith. They're both wordsmiths, but he elevated the hip-hop lyricism in the game and the cadence of rap and flow. But when you looked at his content, it was kind of about like making money, selling drugs, being, in a certain era of rap. And we already know what that's about. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I think what J. Cole did was, he's a wordsmith. He added that lyricism. He has a certain cadence and a certain flow that's original. But he infused character into it, which it wasn't a lot of MCs doing that. Like, hey, it's okay to be dope, but it would be a lot better if your soul and your inner self was dope too.
Right. That's
a message that really wasn't out there, prominent. I'm sure there were people talking about it, but you know what I mean? It was, so I would say what Rakim did for lyricism in hip hop, J. Cole did for, just your inner thinking about those things. You know what I mean? Your value, culture, what you put value on and what you place value on. And that goes a long way, man. So I have to 100% agree with you when I say this one is a lot closer than people would probably, especially from my era, would even like to give it steam. But this is a lot closer than I think.
That's why I asked you to try to step outside of yourself, because I do know that music is attached to memory, and I know, I know how it feels when Paid in Full comes on. Like,
yeah,
And it'd be tough. And you got to put yourself in the position of like, I don't know who you know, who your R&B go-to is, because R&B is a longer lasting genre. But if somebody, somebody was like, the Supremes of Destiny's Child, and we, some 16-year-old, circa 2003 or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, these conversations are not necessarily easy, but you try to identify like how is this person resonating. And I think you made a really profound point, because the fact is, lyricists are all branches and limbs and stuff off of that Rakim, Daddy Kane, KRS tree. That's it. Like, if you consider yourself to be lyrical, thank them.
One of those three is going to be your favorite if you've done your homework. Yes.
Or the origin of you. Yeah. Even if you haven't done your homework and you're like, yo, I want to rap like Nas, or somebody who's further along, who emerged in, I want to rap like Jadakiss. He just went crazy at verses. Great. Then you can go ahead and thank, all three of those guys, one of those guys at least, because this is all the sort of the evolution of it. But yeah, this one's tough. This one's tough. Did you say an answer?
I'm gonna still lean Rakim.
Okay.
But
probably because of what I just said.
What?
Like,
yeah,
he is the son of the North Star of being able to rap. Like, before him, rap was going a certain way. Then he did this, and it's still running. Like, we still biting Rakim.
Yes. So I'm a lean. Well, other than adding the self-value, the introspective thread, that J. Cole has added, will people be rhyming like him? Will people be stealing his cadence? Will 20 years from now, 30 years from now? I don't know. I'm gonna probably lean to probably not. But he has introduced another layer or level to hip hop, and he's done it well. I'm not saying he was the only introspective rapper. I'm not saying he was the first introspective rapper. Sure. He's just popular. Sure. He's made it popular, and he's made it. He's placed, like you said, for his core fan base. Man, they love him some J. Cole, man. You can't tell them nothing. So I'm gonna say,
real way. In a real way.
He's done it at a level of expertise I can't front on him. So yeah, but I'm still gonna lean Rakim. Just me.
Fair enough. All right, I'm trying to level these up. All right, this
that one was good. That was close.
Final stage, level 3.
All right.
Who I consider the best in the game currently, I think you agree, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
And the origin of lyricism from the same neighborhood, of conscious thought from the same neighborhood, America's Most Wanted, The Predator, The Lethal Injection Man, Mr. Ice Cube. And I said those 3 albums on purpose because I don't want for us to forget who this man really is.
Yikes.
And when New York had the damn prison walls around it, like nobody getting in.
They were the gatekeepers.
Nobody's getting in.
Yes.
Cube was embraced. Cube was embraced. Cube was understood. With the exception of like Tim Dog or something. but I just needed to I need to clarify. I know Kendrick is an absolute monster, but I need for people to understand, like, we think of Cali rap, so you're like, yo, Snoop, Pac and all that. Like, Cube's that guy. All right. So, all right, I'll leave it to you with that.
Yeah, this I'm glad you said those albums, because I was literally talking with Rachel the other day, and we were talking about America's Most Wanted and Kill at Will. No, America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate. And I was saying, man, it was literally a summer that it was like I had lived here for like 2 years. And that was like me embracing LA culture. That was me finally saying like, all right, man, I gotta admit it's some, you know what I mean? Like, so that cassette, and I say cassette tape, you know what I mean? That's how far we going back, like stayed in the ride when we was going to play ball at the parks, and just like it was on repeat, you know, for the whole summer. So I definitely have a memory attached to those particular tapes. Yeah. But I would have to say I'm gonna go with Kendrick on this. All right. Only because there's something to be said about, like I was saying, like, man, will somebody be rapping like this person, or, you know, stealing a style, biting a style, you know, 20 years from now? Then there's something else to be said about, I don't think nobody can do Kendrick 20 years from now.
Talk to him.
I think what he's done as a creative, he's thrown the hip hop rule book out the window, and he's just creating music. Yeah, and that's different, man. That's
and he has an aura about him, like what you described of LL Cool J. Whatever he's doing is expansive to hip hop. You know. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something else about Kendrick that that I'm sure he borrows from, but it's again like it's that Andre 3000 thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like when I feel like when you take the rule book and you throw it out,
yeah,
you can't be judged by anything now.
Yeah.
And that's a scary person, because it's like if we were gonna make a basketball analogy, it would be like if we was playing ball.
Diva.
What up? It would be like if we playing ball and you're playing by the conventional rules. You're playing, hey, the basket is 10 foot tall. These are the out of bounds line. This is the free throw. This is the 3-point. And then I get on the court and I'm like, yeah, I don't have to play by none of those.
Yeah.
I'm a scary player. Hey, matter of fact, you get 5 points for checking in. You get 20 points if you hit the backboard. Right. You know, like you right. Like, hold up. But right. It don't apply to you. It only applies to me. And so it's so many things that Andre 3000 and Kendrick can do that other rappers cannot do. They don't even have the privilege to do.
Dude,
you know?
You remember, was it Section 80 when Dot went that did that little interlude? Is like, or maybe it was Good Kid. I can't remember that. Everybody's such a bitch. Yo, you can't. Nobody's getting away with that.
I say it's only a couple of rappers in the history of rap that have this almost like get out of jail free card. This card that it's like, I can do this and you can't do it. Right. It's like ODB.
Right.
You know, if you could just get on a record and go, it's like, how do I compete with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this dude is he's off the charts. Yes. You know, Busta Rhymes, you know, you got these certain people that Redman, like they could just say anything or do anything. And it's like, how do you battle somebody like that?
Damn right.
Everything is in bounds. Everything is in bounds for them. Like, and Kendrick has that. I think, you know, Andre has that, where, you know, he gets a hey y'all, and you're like, all right, man, you know, CeeLo.
Yeah.
You know, I just, I'm gonna lean towards.
Yeah, these people's spirits are different. They are built different. Yeah. But, you know, hey, listen, when that Wicked comes on, can't tell me Jack.
Oh, yeah, man, listen. I was telling Rachel about Bonnie and Clyde thing. Like, it was
hello.
When that song came on the club, and I mean, I was active, you know. Yeah. I remember being up in LA, man, and being in the club, and Bonnie and Clyde thing came on, and it's like the whole club is it's like the energy is out of control. It's crazy. I'm like, yo, this is a smash.
Yo, I was not in the club. I was not old enough, but I can only imagine if a DJ didn't cut the damn mixer when he said, "I don't know karate, but I know craze."
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Yeah,
That
man.
song is crazy. Yeah.
Woo, golly, yeah. I only had the, the out of the stereo deck experience with that. That must have popped off something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I was trying to think of a group today. It doesn't exist, but nobody's touching Run DMC. So that was kind of like it was gonna be like my little extra. And conversely, I was trying to think on the lady side. I don't think anybody touching Nicki. You know what I mean? Like I was like Foxy. I don't. I think Nicki is like, I think she's real cold, man. I think she's like highly, her skill, the devotion she gets from her Barbies and stuff like that. I just, I think what she's managed to accomplish is it's kind of unprecedented. And she, like, when the way that she came through and did work on that Monster track and was like, wait a sec, we got this Kanye song, we got this Jay-Z, we got Rick Ross on the feature, and the best performer here, like that was a moment. I feel like it was a moment. It's not spoken of too often, but I never took it like the B-side, right? Like the Brat and Biggie. Nobody was looking at it like who got off or like who was dominating. It wasn't that feeling. It was just like, yo, you guys were kind of doing it together. It didn't feel competitive. It felt like the same reason I say Busta and Missy should not do a versus, because it's gonna feel like love, and Busta want to go kill somebody in verses.
So just real quick,
yeah,
you wouldn't say Missy and Nicki?
Ooh, I guess not. I guess not because of,
or Queen La.
Yeah, I thought about
what she did for the culture.
Yeah, I thought about her, and I thought about Roxanne Shante, and I thought about MC Lyte. I thought about but I just feel like with Nicki, I feel like, and maybe this is the conscientiousness heightening over time or something. But I do feel like, for worse, women, because again, to be able to rap is to be able to rap. You don't got to be a certain age. You don't got to be a certain gender. You don't got to be a certain anything. But the mindset of when Queen Latifah was thriving and her contemporaries was like the women were kind of cast off. Like it was like, and I don't think that changed necessarily when Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim were doing their thing. I don't think much of it changed. Now women are as competitive to, by the metrics of sales and fan loyalty and whatever, and their skill sets are being, I think, received differently. And I do think, again, I don't know that this is official. I never thought about this so to the surface of my mind before, but I do think what Nicki did on the Monster joint, like I think that changed things. I think that was a moment. Jay-Z is on the song. Rick Ross, Rick Ross, when he's like, he's on everything and all over the radio and all that. Kanye is Kanye. Nicki absolutely took everybody to school on that. I don't know.
Well, I think, I agree. But I would also say that Nicki has that thing that we just mentioned as far as Kendrick and Andre 3000. Yes. And she's able to become different characters. She's able to step outside of the conventional hip hop rule book with her flow. She could sing on you. She could become animated. Like whenever you got that animated car, like Busta Rhymes, where you could just kind of, row, like when you could play that card and it'd be authentic to you. You're not trying to, or you can kind of just say these random things that become catchphrases and all of that stuff. Like you're operating in a different, it's like a basketball player being able to jump up in the air and just be like, I'm gonna be up here longer than you. I'm a Vince Carter, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna jump, you're gonna jump, but you're gonna come down before I'm finished. You know what Absolutely. I mean? And I'm gonna put some razzle dazzle on it. So like those rappers, like we was mentioning, they're operating in a different level You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
will say that Nikki has that. But Missy has that.
Missy does, but
has
Missy,
that.
I always viewed Missy like as kind of similar to how you describe Drake. Like, does she got the hip hop in there? Of course, but do I view her as like firmly planted in hip hop? Like, I don't, because she's just kind of like, she's so versatile, and she, you know, her R&B pen is obviously like all time, and she's just done a lot. And so I never kind of viewed her that way. Like, she's obviously, when she does a hip hop thing, it's nice, you know, but you know, Nicki is, you know, in the
She
center.
got bars. I think that's the biggest difference. I think that, you know, sometimes Missy becomes a character.
Yeah.
And she can rap. She can rap. She becomes a character. And that's cool. I think Nicki is like, if you want to battle, we could straight bar for bar, like we could battle. That's different. Like, that's all hip hop right there. That's the foundation of hip hop. Like, battle, like, she'll take you there, and then she'll also do what Missy does and make starships, or she'll make something that you're just like, okay, like, wow, you went out there. You really went out there. So yeah, man, Nicki she's a cold piece, yo.
Oh yeah. She's a problem. Could you think of, this was one I kind of blanked on. I'm like, I don't got anybody for this man, but like, I kind of used up the Drake and the Cole and the Kendrick and all that. Who is the Big Daddy Kane offset? Because understand too that Big Daddy Kane, even though, you know, he still did things, and he did, you know, that All My Love with Spinderella and all, but like when he had it in a chokehold, you know, this was with like 2 albums. I mean, that was the rules of the game back then. It's like, yo, you get your 2 albums, you know, we're going to push you aside and bring in the next wave, right? That was just the space he was operating in. But when he had it, you know, he had that thing, right? So who would be the...
I'm going to jump out the window on this one. I'm going to jump out. I'm just saying it right now. I'm going to jump out the window.
Let's go. We go
when he had it. So like you said, there was about 2 albums there where Big Daddy Kane was Jay-Z.
Okay. No, but I stayed away from the 90s guys on purpose.
Okay.
I'm not mad at you.
About, like, present day to like
like who's you know, because what was happening in the 90s is those guys really benefited, just like Michael Jordan and, you know, that next wave of NBA guy. The hip hop in the 90s really benefited off of the springboard that was set by the guys we talking about right now.
Okay.
You know, like I said, like Snoop and Tupac out in the West, like it was a big deal. But Cube and even Dre, you know what I mean? Like, obviously Dre, like they were setting that trampoline up for everybody to launch off of. But yeah, the 90s was just different.
Present day, man. Yeah, Diva. I see.
Who you talking about, Diva? You talking about Missy and Nicki? Go ahead. I'm doing a little juggling act.
Yeah, me too. I'm checking it because I just can't think of anybody present day that I would put on the level of.
That was why I was that, like,
because I would say if we go down that road, okay, so Big Daddy Kane handed the torch to Jay-Z. Not handed the torch, but it's like a earlier version of a Jay-Z. Lyrical, plus had a girly raps, plus had a party bangers, plus that's what made Jay-Z like so unstoppable, man. He could hit you with something conscious, he could hit you with a party joint, he could hit you with like
just slide conscious thought into the party joint, how you think about it and play it back and play it back.
Yeah, and so
one of one.
Yeah, so he was lyrical. He had different flow patterns. He was a monster, man. And that's kind of like Daddy Kane would like hit you with something like, Smooth Operator, but then he would hit you with, Raw. You know what I mean? So
Kane and something,
So I'm trying to think of who has that kind of Big Daddy Kane to Jay-Z
to your point, Diva. I see you. I use Cube for K-Dot, and that probably had something to do with the region of it, like, just both being Compton guys, but like. I use Cube because I felt like, Cube never necessarily was known for like a speedy flow, but he was the West Coast guy that got, you know, received and accepted and celebrated in New York. You know, guy with the bomb squad and those guys, and you know, just was off and running. So I kind of did that. I likened Cube to K Dot. I couldn't even think. This is kind of the problem, and where maybe I feel like where the well went dry. I couldn't even think of like another artist in today's landscape that's like that. Like if I'm talking about the guys we respect in that guy, not just we. I mean that seem to be like the consensus, like kind of the champions for the present day. I really feel like people default and probably for a reason. It's like, yo, it's K Dot, it's Cole, it's Drake. These are like the dudes right now. Who else?
I would have to get a younger person's stamp of approval. Maybe I'll call my son Legend and see if this, but I just know like when I'm out, how this name resonates with a younger audience. Like I had my niece hit me.
I know who you're gonna say. I feel like I know who you're gonna say.
Go ahead.
Lil Baby.
Lil Baby.
Yeah. Even though I think Da Baby is a better rapper, obviously he can't keep his name out of trouble. But
Lil Baby,
I understand that.
Go ahead.
I understand that of Lil Baby.
I mean, he's got that song with Kirk Franklin on the soundtrack. Like he's able to kind of walk in this. Like he's got obviously some club bangers, but he's also got some conscious rap. Like when you hear Lil Baby, you don't necessarily think conscious rap. That's not the first thing. But I think because it gets kind of mixed in with Da Baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like Lil Baby, in and of himself, will try and walk down those lanes where he's talking about something of substance, and he does it in his own way. But the point is, it resonates with that age group. Like, oh, this dude is super conscious. This dude is super lyrical, and he's got the clubs on lock too, like a Jay-Z, like a Daddy Kane. So I would say Lil Baby would.
I guess maybe I just need to see a little bit more, like, because I understand that of Lil Baby, and I understand that that the leaders, you know, look to him and say, this guy's got it. You know, he's on his way. I've heard Fat Joe make that, make that remark. I feel like maybe Busta, somebody I maybe, mixing it up. And Diva, to your point, Gambino, I feel like he's in that Missy category where he's just a bit too much of a Renaissance man.
He's not playing by the same rules.
This is not the fault of these, virtuoso talents at all. You know what I'm saying?
He is dope.
People are special, but we're just having a different kind of like a hip hop conversation. And Gambino because the fact is Gambino is also Donald Glover, who's the, comedian, writer, showrunner for Atlanta, R&B singing. He made the whole vintage funk, based album, and yes, he could rap too. So like, gotta respect that, but at the same time, he's not in the conversation.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put my money on Lil Baby.
All right. Yeah, but at the same time, like and that's what I mean. I just need to see more, because I thought about some people. I thought about Lil Baby. I like the names. I'm like, who's kind of thriving right now? I'm like, I'm not putting Lil Baby in that Big Daddy. I'm not making them a comparison. And I'm not it's not Travis Scott, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like whoever your big, who's actually real nice, and he kind of got a little bit of that unicorn thing that we talk about in it too. Is who's winning me over more and more and more is Tyler, man. Tyler's dope. But I don't know who he's like, a branch or whatever off of a different tree, a tree that sprung up in the 90s. You know what I mean?
His last album that he did with DJ Drama.
Oh yeah.
Like, yo, call me if you get lost or whatever, or call me with like that should have won so many more awards than it did. It was like the whole joint was fire.
Yeah.
I like Corday.
Yeah.
The only reason I can't
put like Kane, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, exactly.
who we putting up with Kane, and it's not any of these names. Like literally, it ran out at 3. I didn't get into KRS. I'm talking about legacies that, like, you know, because again, there is a difference. There's just a difference, and again, kind of going back to the basketball parallel, there's a difference between somebody who is T-Mac, who is Carmelo Anthony. These guys are Hall of Fame players. I'm not taking away from them being just bad dudes. You know, they are great, but like there's this like exclusive champions club type of deal, you know, and that's what we're talking about, and that seemed to exist beyond 3. You know, when we go back now, maybe I'm looking at it in revisionist history because the time was what it was, but this Kendrick, this 3-headed sort of trifecta thing of Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole, it's lasted like that for several years now. You know,
I
5,
think
maybe 10 years we talking about.
I
You know what I
think
mean?
Lil Baby has the potential, judging from the response and the reaction that I'm getting from people that actually are in that demographic and really like is, you know, in that circle. I think he has the capability of pulling longevity off. I think if I had to choose right now between DaBaby and Lil Baby, I would actually lean towards Lil Baby as far as longevity. Like I think DaBaby has some dope club tracks. I think Diva even leaned to that. Like he's got some dope club bangers, but I don't think he has enough substance to turn that into longevity because he's just making club bangers right now. And then, you know, once that's over, where do you go? Like you could see Lil Baby actually setting himself up with the collabs that he's doing and like the topics that he's willing to spit about. Like, oh, he's trying to like make a mark. He's actually trying to make a mark. So I'm like, if I had to pick between those two right now, I think Lil Baby has more. He's setting himself up. He's building more of a foundation for longevity, like the J. Coles and the Kendricks, to be in that rare air in present day.
Yeah. Nah, I feel it. There just needs to be some more before I just couldn't put nobody up against Kane. And there's one person I thought about in the present who I like, but I just couldn't think of an old school matchup, to be fair, right? So this is like shoe on the other foot, and that's Chance. I just could, yeah, you're right, Diva. There really isn't. But I like Chance and Big Daddy Kane didn't feel like the right conversation to have either. But I like Chance. I feel like Chance has like a sort of a leadership quality about him. You know what I mean? So talking about like being up at the top or whatever, like I feel like he is built for that space. And I feel like he's dipped a toe in it, you know, but there's still work to be done before he just kind of like stapled in. And we talking about, oh, you know, that modern day Rushmore of Drake and Cole and K. Dot and Chance or whatever, you know.
I guess I know we got to wrap it up here, but you know, my only argument with Chance would be outside of you don't want no problems with me. That was the one that was getting turned up in the club.
Right.
I really have never had anybody ask me to play any other Chance song.
Not all night.
I know, I don't think so.
I like that all night. I'm not mad at all night. As far as just having some fun goes. But that's why I said there's still work to be done. Because has he had a proper like a project released since the coloring book? I mean, I don't even know. Maybe I probably miss his cues. I know he gets down on you know, feature work and stuff like that, but I don't know if he's put another project out. And coloring book, its independent spirit kind of reared itself in that the audio quality didn't bang the way that, you know, you would have expected just given the cachet of his name, right? Like if you got Kanye featured on something, and you know, you got in 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne or whoever was. The guess is that you're gonna get your thing mixed and mastered to like blow out some speakers. It didn't quite do that. It was a little flat in that regard. So, but like I said, like he has the quality, I think, of like that thing where it's like the full package of like, you know, if we're looking at the spectrum, if you're just talking superstar, you could say MC Hammer, and if you're just talking like lyricist, you know what I mean, you could just there's the whole vat of names you could choose from. But there's sometimes the whole thing comes together where you got the performer, the superstar, the the respected hip hopper, like all these things in this one package. You know what I mean? So I think he's got that kind of thing going for him, but there's work to be done.
All right, before we get out of here, because I got to mention this guy's name, or else I'll be very upset.
Right.
I feel like he's very, very underrated. His name never really gets brought up, but I think he's carved out a niche. He's got bangers. He's got, he's introspective. He's also got the club bangers. And he probably would have been a good match for Daddy Kane in the sense of appeal to audience. And I'm going to go with Big Sean.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I am not mad at Big Sean. And I feel remiss to have overlooked him. I was quickly putting these notes together right before we hopped on. So my mind wasn't functioning all the way at 100, clearly, because Big Sean is dope. Big Sean is dope and does deserve that respect.
He always gets overlooked. And I would actually, when you talk about Kendrick, Cole,
I
would say he definitely belongs in that tier.
Strong agreement from your boy. Yes. Yeah. Big Sean is real. I feel dumb for blanking on him.
I had to bring him up.
All right. Well, we'll make 7:30 the hard stop. Big Sean, Big Daddy Kane. Who's bigger between Big Sean and Big Daddy Kane?
I am going to say I'm gonna jump out on the window on this one. I'm gonna lean towards Big Sean. And this is
explain.
What's that? Explain. Because although Daddy Kane had the lyricism, the sex appeal, the ladies, the club bangers, and the flow pattern, he also had the advantage of having the whole New York behind him.
Brooklyn.
He had the cosigns of Biz Markie. He had the cosign of Coach Chillin. He had the what Big Sean did for Detroit, he didn't really have a cosign to Eminem. He was actually coming out of the shadow of having to live up to like, oh, that is the only one and only Detroit rapper that's worth even giving value to. And then Big Sean comes up and he's got to kind of break down a lot of that. He's got to kind of carve out his own niche. His flow pattern and cadence is nothing like Eminem's. Mm-hmm. So it's like he's got to almost like break new ground and convince the world to like him. Now, he did have a cosign of Ye, which helps out tremendously.
But it's not like easy access from that point. Yeah.
So I mean, just for what Big Sean had to kind of do to kind of solidify his spot, when you got all of the noise, and not noise, but you got a J. Cole, a Kendrick, and all of these people out there that you got to kind of find your position amongst. I just kind of hats off to Big Sean, man. I'm a lean towards Big Sean.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it. Diva, thank you for coming through. I feel like you gave us like new life. Normally we cut it about an hour, but you came through. We feeding off of the energy. I assume that I will see you and maybe some others in the chat too on August 7th at Real Ones. Can't wait. Unfortunately, NIC, he mentioned earlier in the broadcast that he will be traveling. So we gonna we're glad to. And you know I'm gonna turn that back around and represent from URF Tone on the Twitch. We'll see you soon. Yeah. Okay. Okay, with the after party spins.
That's what's up.
That is what's up. So we appreciate y'all. We'll be back at it next Tuesday. Keep plugging energy. If you haven't done so already, please visit the YouTube. Make a comment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, let people know, because we just want to feel your energy. That's the name of the song. So we are out of here. We'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you.